Keeping venomous reptiles is an unforgiving hobby, requiring proper training and lots of experience. One simple mistake can be the difference between life and death. Remember, the most venomous snake in the world is the one that just bit you. There are no venomous snakes with training wheels. Just because you see Viperkeeper handle snakes a certain way does not mean you should try it too.
The Dinocystrodon has shed. We need to swap out his bowl, but I'm not going to disturb him to do that. I'm going to very carefully try to remove as much of the shedding as I can. Yes, hello. Venomous snakes do not like to be poked and prodded. I'll get as much as I can safely. Sorry, dude. As well as this pile of poo over here.
Boy, that's a big chunk of urate, too.
Yep.
Yes, they like to leave nice big surprises along with their sheddings quite often.
There is a poop stick down here.
He really is an absolutely spectacular snake.
I could have sworn that there was
A pooper scooper?
a pooper scooper in this room. Apparently not. So let's shut this for a moment. And I will go get one.
I've also been attempting to get his water bowl out to clean it, and he has a habit of, well, either like now, kind of wrapping around it, or sitting right next to it, and yeah, I'm not real anxious to tangle with this guy, so I tend to leave those duties to Al. He's so lucky. Although he's not anxious to do this either. This is a particularly nasty bite, and there is no anti-venom. Well, there is anti-venom, but we do not have any. And of course, he's got that very interesting nose. That's why we call him Mr. Snooty. That and the fact that he likes to sit with his nose, he'll look at you, lift his head, and point his nose at the ceiling and kind of stare down his nose at you like he's very conceited. Isn't that right, Mr. Snooty? Although I think that's really the only way he can see forward is to do it that way, because that big upturned nose makes it difficult otherwise.
Well, I know there's 3 pooper scoopers in the house. One I found in the big room. This was in the small room, so...
So we have gremlins stealing our pooper scoopers.
Here it is.
Oh.
It was in a very obscure place, so this will go back upstairs to the small room. I don't like moving utensils back and forth between rooms because this is all part of infection control. Not that we have any infections, but this is how you make sure that you don't have infections. So first of all, we'll get rid of the shedding. And
Yes, I did just vacuum, so.
yeah, a perpetual sort of thing. Just as a precaution, I will have a hook in hand. He used to use his trap box, which made life a lot easier, but he hasn't used it recently. Usually when he's in shed, he'll go into his trap box and disappear, and that's typical for a lot of the venomous snakes in the collection. Not that we have a whole lot of non-venomous snakes, but you know, that's usually the mode of operandi. They don't want to be bothered, they don't want to be seen, they just sort of lie low during that process. So it was surprising that he just sort of curled up in the corner and did very little other than sit there. I offered him something to eat last weekend. He struck, but he did not eat it, and well, now we know that the very likely reason is that he was in shed.
Is the scoop in there?
No, I don't have this.
The scoops have disappeared too.
Yeah. So I'll just do the toss and hope that it doesn't irritate him. And then I'll just parcel it out with a little fresh substrate. This is crusty stuff in the way back that, yes, you see stuff going on. You may be hungry right now. I promise I will bring rats later, but right now it's just a morning survey to see how everybody is. Make sure all the inmates in the asylum are in their appropriate locations and no one is missing from their cages. Believe it or not, you know, that's an important step of keeping reptiles, especially snakes, because snakes are exquisite, the masters, the Yodas of the escape world, and we don't want any escapees because of the it's no fun having a venomous surprise. So we make our rounds and check and make sure everybody is where they're supposed to be. So that's Dedicistrodon acutus, or the sharp-nosed pit viper, from Vietnam, China, Taiwan, those areas. These are hemorrhagic and necrotizing type venom. I know two people personally who've taken bites. One got lucky because he got anti-venom right away. Another one, a zookeeper who actually received anti-venom, he took a big bite to the back of his hand the morning after, you know, his initial arrival at the hospital. The doctor unbandaged the wound, and this was after he received a number of doses of antivenom, and basically poured the reverse of his hand into a gauze pad and basically exposed all the you know, tendons and ligaments of the back of the hand. And this was back in the days where they didn't have good wound care techniques. The technique was to basically make an incision in the abdomen and insert the hand in the abdomen until new skin grew over the wound. After a certain number of weeks, then they'd open the incision and remove the hand, and because it now had a protective layer of new skin that grew in its place. But, you know, during the surgery, they had to debride all the dead and dying flesh, and otherwise, it could get infected, or and could have resulted in amputation. But this is a very fast, very dangerous snake. It used to be in the Echistrodon complex. It used to be called the Echistrodon acutus, but there's only one species in this genus all by itself. Hasn't changed in years, from Denechistrodon. These are very fast, sort of Bothrops-like species from Southeast Asia. So we treat him with a lot of respect and care, because he is not only quite beautiful, but agile, a pit viper, which gives him the added edge when biting or striking.
Yes, and the venom basically causes your insides to become liquefied goo.
Yes, along with your appendage that was bitten. So
Yes.
we treat him with a lot of respect. He's quite fast. He's also known as the 1,000-pace snake or 100-pace snake because the venom has very powerful vasodilators, which causes a person bitten to almost immediately pass out within a few moments of the bite, until your blood pressure recovers. So yeah, that's why he's called the 100-pace snake, because a person bitten basically walks a few paces and then falls to the ground unconscious, and again, until their blood pressure gets boosted back up, or you could not recover from that shock and die. There are fatalities with this species, probably a lot more than reported because of the poor healthcare systems in the countries where it's found, with the exception of Taiwan, where they have great healthcare. They've got really good anti-venom that they make there for the ones indigenous to that particular island. They also have their own species of Russell's viper that's found in Taiwan. And Taiwan made a very excellent anti-venom to those snakes also, as well as other assorted Protobothrops species. So he's twitchy right now, so we're going to let him calm down and move on to our next cage to get a shedding out of.